First, I want to say specifically that not identifying with Christianity doesn't mean you're leaving it behind. And I think in this day, after we have gone through a significant period of time with poor leadership, so much division, you almost have to identify what kind of Christian you are, and we don't know how to do that. Like, I almost need like a version of Christianity that doesn't wear red caps. Like, what do you call a Christian who didn't vote for Trump? Like, that's who I am. Like, so now we have to like figure out how to say, which kind are you? Dr. Nicole Massey Martin talks about the evangelical as noun versus verb. And so that's the problem with Christian identity. I don't think we really know right now who has walked away versus who is willing to identify in a certain way, if we're honest. What I can also tell you is we saw an increase in Latinos who were able to identify as Christian, and they had us by, I think, like 3%. But we also see a rise in Republican Christians who are probably maybe more patriotic than they are Christian, but they don't really know where there's a dividing line. So I think this is telling us we have a PR, imaging, and naming problem with identity. Not that we really know that people are walking away. And I only say this because when you look a little deeper in the data, you get to see that Gen Z is probably more hopeful than we would have ever imagined. I mean, when we're looking at statistics about the Black pastors and authority in the community, Gen Z is ranking high. Millennials are not too bad, but Gen Z is more hopeful on a lot of the data. But the tricky thing is that boomers are actually most disappointed. So when we're really talking about what it means to identify as Christian as far as emerging generations, I think we also have to take just a quick second and say, if millennials and Gen Z are possibly declining, right, we're in a decline, or the identification decline is happening, we also have to think about what attendance looks like. When we looked at the data around attendance, Black people really want us to believe that they go to church once a week at 51%. That's a lie. But Black people want to be seen as weekly churchgoers, which is the opportunity. The real issue when we look at emerging generations not being in church is always going to be going back to boomers. Because I don't know a parent who knows something good for their children and they don't have them participate in it. So if boomers weren't taking their children to church, then millennials and Gen Z didn't give up on the church, boomers did. Because no parent who loves their child stops them from participating in something they think is amazing. So the real question is, how are boomers feeling? But for next generations, I think we have to just be honest and say it is difficult for us to tell somebody I'm a Christian without trying to explain what kind you are. So this whole identity piece is just really bad PR.